This is Business Today on ChannelEye. On this program, we talk about business, entrepreneurship, and much more. Today, we're here to talk about the Sri Lanka Business Council of Japan, as well as the motor vehicle import industry, and overall, when it comes to conducting business in Japan. And to do so, we are joined with Mr. Jagath Ramanayake. He's the president of the Sri Lanka Business Council in Japan and the CEO of Ramanayake Limited, Japan, and also the advisor for the Sri Lanka Automobile Association, Japan. Good evening and welcome to the program.
Good evening.
All right, so let's start off with a bit of an introduction about the Sri Lanka Business Council of Japan.
Okay, the Sri Lankan Business Council was established in 2003, and actually we are having the 20th anniversary this year. Business Council was an idea from the Sri Lankan government. It came through the Foreign Ministry. They wanted to start a business council to collect people in those countries and have a business council to support the embassy to do business between the countries. So one of the good examples was Japan. I was a member from the inception, and late Mr. Hubert Jayakodi was the president at that time, and we created the business council in Japan, and there were, like in Dubai, and there were a lot of countries started at the same time, but the active role we have been doing for the last 20 years, I think it's highlighted the Japanese Business Council has done a lot of work. So what we do is, like, we try to get all the business people who have been doing business in Japan for the last 10 years, and we give them a membership, and sometimes we allocate them like the vice presidents of area-wise or the prefecture-wise, and to help the embassy to promote Sri Lankan and Japanese business between our two countries. That's our main idea, and I think that's that we have been doing for the last 20 years. Yeah.
Right. And well, this year is very special indeed because you're celebrating your 20th anniversary. What plans do you have for this? 20th
anniversary, like I was thinking how we could give the impression of 20 years. How are we going to say 20 years? How could the public think about what is 20 years? It's short time or a long time? As you know, in the law, they say if you're being imprisoned for your life, that's 20 years. So that means there's an idea of that your lifetime is 20 years. It's a term that I thought of explaining how long we have been doing it. And to be active is not easy. Like, you can have an association for so many years, but to be active, working every year according to a program, and doing programs to promote Sri Lanka, and also the Japanese people to come and invest in Sri Lanka. These kind of programs are going all along, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank my colleagues who have been working so hard. And it's a volunteer organization. They are not being paid. They have to sacrifice their time and money to come and do work for the association with the embassy. So I think I'm so happy to say that this 20 years is a long time, and so we want to make this 20 years a remarkable and a memorable time, and pass it over to the next 20 years with new ideas. So that's what we are planning to do this year.
Right. Okay. Now, when it comes to the Japanese perception and the Sri Lankan perception, well, you are someone who mingles with both these countries, so you would know how one thinks of another. What do you think about Japan's perception about Sri Lanka's current economic situation?
Current economic situation, actually. As you know, Sri Lanka is a small country. When you look at Japan, they are globally, they work with bigger countries and larger countries in the economical wise. But Japan has an idea about Sri Lanka, just because I think we know that at the San Francisco Peace Conference, Mr. J.R. Jayawardena came and said that we should give a pardon to the Japanese when they had the war crime allegations. So like that, the political and the government looks at Sri Lanka as very important, and also the political way how the China and India is going around and what's going on. So the Japanese government is ready to help Sri Lanka all the time. I think we know that we have got a lot of grants and loans and things like that, and they want to work with Sri Lanka, but we in Sri Lanka think that Japan would need us, but that's not the way. Like, we are a small country. If we have a strong Japan with us, it's easy for us to work. Right. And most of them are not loans. There's grants and things like that we don't have to pay back, So with this point, they are looking at Sri Lanka, and they knew that it came down after the COVID and the political decisions and things like that. The government wants Sri Lanka to be stabilized, So that's why they wanted us to go to IMF. They just wanted us to go to IMF, not because to get money or get loans, but they want to show their government and the people to say that Sri Lanka is trying to come up in a system. There's a system given, so they are on this system trying to come up with a new idea. So which the Japanese government is easy for them to grant money or give loans, because if you're saying that you're going to pay your loans back and how you're going to pay, and all this structure has been done with the IMF plan, you know. So I meet the top people in Japan and they say we want a stability in the country to help you guys. So they are really worried about the next political step, what's going to happen in the country, and if it's a big change, and they will have to stop everything what they have been discussed and things like that. So recently they are happy with what we are progressing, and personally they tell me that if it goes like this, like for 2-3 years, we might come up and help you a lot, you know.
Right. Now there are many students who are studying in Japan, and they're actually seeking employment in Japan. What is the support offered by your organization for such students?
Yeah, students in Japan, right? So they come as Japanese language students, and they try to get into a university and try to get a job and have their career. So this is the way they start their work, and when they do finish their studies, they try to come and try to find jobs. And if they can't find a job, end of the day they think that, okay, I should start up a company.
Right.
So I'd be a CEO, or like, you know, to invest. So this system will not work, because he has been studying to be a worker somewhere or some kind of things.
Right.
So they struggle in that. So the business council with experienced owners of companies wants to help these boys to come and build up their own business,
right,
or try to be a leader. So we want to tell them that they should try to, from the beginning itself, they should think that if you have an idea of having an organization and to be a CEO, you should at least do your homework little by little and think about what is the market, what is the trend, and things like that, and try to come up with their ideas. And we, as the business council, we can help them in information and introducing organizations, banks, and things like that to start up. So we have a program which we started 2-3 years ago. Because of the COVID, it was slowed down, but now we are looking at it to create more entrepreneurs for our businesses to start in Japan. Yeah.
Right, okay. And for businessmen who are currently established in Sri Lanka, and maybe they're planning on expanding to Japan and expanding their horizon, what can they do to really enter the Japanese market?
Okay, that's the main thing what we do. Like the Sri Lanka embassy, I would like to mention the embassy. They do a lot of work to promote things. But as you know, they have problems with funds and with the country situation right now. But Business Council has a big role to play, and we started one program about 3 years ago to help Sri Lankan manufacturers to know about the Japanese market. So we hired some specialists from Japan, and they were like some people were like in the marketing field and packing and like things like that. So we got the EDB to select some Sri Lankan manufacturers as a group, and we had some Zoom meetings with them, and these instructors gave them information about the colors what they should use, the size of the box, how the packing should be done. That's very important when it's come to a Japanese market, because they want the top quality. Right. So if something inside the bottle must be the best in the world, but if you don't have that presentation, I think that's going to be a problem. So that program was very successful. I think the EDB selected about 10, finally they had about 10 companies who came. So that way, if they learn that things, and as you know, then they could try the Japanese market. They could bring the products into the market and do the business, try to promote their business. But if they even fail the Japanese market, but this quality will go anywhere in the globe, you know. So that's the biggest opportunity that they will have, you know. And that in that case, when we took the next step for that, some exporters started exporting with this quality. So that's what I think. That was one of our main things which we could do. And the other thing is communication. Like people try to sell their products to Japan, and they send a sample and then they don't get a reply, and they say, no, this is not going to happen. So I should like to tell you that there was a famous Sri Lankan businessman who's supplying these airbags to BMW, Toyota and all. He's a friend of mine, and he was telling me like he must have sent messages, samples, maybe about 50 to 100 times, try to get meetings at that time. But he never gave up. Now he's the only person who is supplying all these airbag units to these countries, and he has a big organization. So like that, you should not give up on that. You should keep writing, try to get an appointment, and try to meet them and show them that you are really desperate to do the business. And then at a time they will give you some instructions that what you should do. And I normally when I meet Sri Lankans, I say don't send your sample out. Try to get the same product which is being sold in Japan. Try to get a sample from Japan. Compare with your thing. Then you will see what's good, what's bad, and how we can improve our things. So this is very important. So these things we also can help as a business council. Yeah.
Okay. And when it comes to opportunities which you get in Japan, what are some of the things that are offered for Sri Lankans or for anyone who's planning on going to Japan, the opportunities they get? Opportunities,
actually, if you want to get into the market, or like as you said, for the trading market, there are a lot of exhibitions and things like that which is being organized by various organizations. The Sri Lanka embassy is there to help, like tourism, maybe, or exports, food and all that. There's a FoodX program, one of the biggest in the world. We have it in Tokyo. So this is some of the opportunities if you are looking at businesses. And the main thing is, if you want to go and work in Japan, you have to be very careful, because with this economic crisis, people try to say that, okay, I will get you a job in Japan, or we will take you to Japan, and they collect a lot of money and they try to pay these people, and end of the day they get caught. Most of the people don't go. Even if they go with a tourist visa or something like that, a temporary thing, which they don't have idea. They go into the country and then they try to extend or get a visa, and that's not possible in Japan. Japan has a system if you're coming into the country. So I would like to tell everyone, be careful, because you don't have to do that. Now the Japanese government has made a system that you could come as a worker or come as a professional to work. So only thing, you have to work a little bit hard, because they want the Japanese, you should be able to speak a little bit Japanese. That's the N5, that's the lowest exam. If you do a course for about 6 months or something like that, I'm sure that you could pass the exam. And there are like professions which they have selected, few professions, and so they have another proficiency test which you have to pass that. If you go through these two, then you're qualified to go and work in Japan.
Right.
So then you can just apply for any organization, any company, and then you get a working visa for 5 years. So after 5 years, you can bring your family in. So you don't have to spend millions and send people, just give money to people. But only thing is, you have to have that ability to, to try hard and try to do this. It's not difficult, but it takes time. But Sri Lankans try to do it overnight. Like tomorrow, I want to go and I want to find a job. In some countries, maybe that you can do it. But in Japan, they have a system. So you have to go through the system.
Right. Okay. And what are some of the things which are implemented in Japan, maybe by businessmen, by organizations or corporations? What are some of the qualities which you think we can implement in Sri Lanka to maybe better ourselves?
Yeah, actually, I think that this dialogue has been going on for a long time. And when I did my master's in Japan, my report was like, I wrote about transferability of Japanese management to Sri Lanka or Southeast Asia, like something like that. So, but I was thinking like, the main thing, because we have a Buddhist culture in Sri Lanka, right? And Japan also, the base is Buddhist. So it's very similar. Only thing is, after the war and things like that, they were depressed and they were climbing up. So the people got together and they made a system that everybody contributes. There's no shortcuts. We have to work hard and contribution. And they worked as groups. They don't work as individual like I can just give you an example. Like in the class, when I was in the university, the professor used to ask questions, like what's 1 and 2, if you add 1 to 2, nobody answers, just only the foreign students put their hands and say like, hey, this 5 or 3 or something like that, and then we look around and say, Japanese people, oh, you don't know. So everybody had a feeling that Japanese people didn't understand the lecture, but that was not the thing, like they look it as a group. And they don't want anyone to come up and just to show that I can do it, but they want to have it as a group. So, so that gives an example. Like then the professor points a finger and say, "Hey, you answer." Then they answer. Like so, they wait for their term and they wait for their chance. So what I'm telling is, nobody tries to push anyone down. Like everybody wants to come up at the same level, and I think that gave a lot of things. So even we should work as a group. We try to work as a group, and if you have idea, you discuss with the group and get everyone's idea, everyone's help to improve your product. So that kind of thing is very important when we are trying to come up in the global market.
Right. Yeah. Okay. When it comes to some of the proposals which have been implemented towards the restriction and easing such restrictions, do you mind naming some of these proposals?
Yeah, actually, during my past experience, the duty structure in Sri Lanka, when you import a car, you have to pay duty. It's very high when you look at other countries. The importers are paying a significant amount of duty. So this was like the system came from a long time. Like people had an invoice value which you pay the duty. That is the transaction price, and the government had another price saying that this is the value of the car, to prevent people under invoicing. Like if you make a higher invoice value, the government will charge you more duty, and there's a value of the car given, like that's use of the government value. So if the invoice value is less than the government value, they charge duty on the government value. But I was doing this business for 30 years as Rama DBK. We had been exporting. I have been selling cars to normal dealers, importers, staff of ministries, even the politicians, ministers. The car value is more than the government value. Like if you say it's 100,000 value, the real car value is 200,000.
Okay.
So everyone says, okay, can you make the invoice for 100,000? So this was happening all along, and so the people are paying duty for 100,000. But that's fair because it's not, it's a huge amount of duty. So this was happening all around. So the problem was the central bank didn't know the real value of the car what they're importing. It's 2 million, but they show it as 1 million. Exchange control didn't know. So I came up and said, this is nothing to hide. Everybody knows this. So please open it up. Come, let's do something. Then we gave a proposal saying that charge duty on the cc capacity. If the engine capacity is 1500 cc, it's a unit price. Anybody brings a car for 1500 cc, the duty is fixed. So they can show their exact invoice value, how much they're going to pay. So that will be 2 million. But the duty for a 1500 car will be fixed. So in that way, the government opened up. I would like to say the minister was Ravi Karunanak at that time. He's the only person who said, okay, this is a good idea, but he couldn't implement it during his time. But the next minister who came and they implemented. So we're happy to say that system has come in, so that's something great. And when we did not have money, at the foreign currency coming into the country, we gave a proposal telling that, okay, if somebody sends money into foreign currency to the country, please allow them to bring a car, because then they will be happy to send money into the country without using it overseas or not keeping in their accounts in other countries. So this also I spoke to the previous government, I spoke to the treasury, nobody really they said, that's a good idea, we should do it, but nobody did it. But I'm really happy to say Manusha Nanayakara, the Minister of Labour, I just gave him the letter and he went through this and he said we should do it, but he's a Labour Minister, right? But there are finance minister and the treasury and things that they have to look into. But he came up and said, okay, my workers work hard and they are earning money overseas, we should give them kind of a benefit. Now the electric car open up, I think it's because of him. He took it very seriously, and he has proved that there are a lot of money coming in just because of this project. Because if you are bringing in a car for 100 rupees, you have to pay 200. You have to bring $200 into the country. If it's $100, I'm just telling you as an example. So this has money coming in. There's a big flow of money coming into the country. I think that's a huge step that we would like to say that we proposed it, and the government has taken. So we don't, everything what we propose can't be done, but what I'm telling is, if you can actually evaluate that and see what are the good things, what are the bad things, and have a committee and just think about it, I think the country will benefit.
Right. So overall, from what you said, what would be your suggestions for a stable motor vehicle import industry?
Yeah, actually, we can't just open it up right now. Right. So we should categorize and how the government wants the country to move, and the new generation will be electric vehicles and maybe hybrid a little bit. So if they want to focus on that, the duty structure should be changing into that, and we should open it up a little. In that case, how we could control is the duty structure right now, so we should think about that and open it up in a way that which would not be a problem for the country at once. As you know, like everybody has been without vehicles for 3-4 years, and if you just open it out and if everybody tries to buy cars, I think our financial flow will go out and we will lose our US dollars. So I would not like to recommend that at all. So but we have to do it step by step, and one good thing is all the Sri Lankans were really hurt during that cancellation of the car vehicles and things like that. But after 3 years, they managed to we helped all the other exporters to find other markets around the world. Now they have become stabilized again, and now they can continue the business. The only thing, the government should change rules like this in the future. This is going to be a big problem for the country if we keep on changing like that. So we can change it 2 or 3 times a year, but we have to say that this month we are going to have a change. You don't have to say we are going to decrease or increase or anything, just to give an indication that our country has a plan, so that is very important. Just not a politician to come and say tomorrow we are going to stop everything. These are the things I feel like as a business person, and being in the international market, we have seen so many markets around. So we have to be, very straightforward and what we have to do. And I would like to add one thing. For the 20th anniversary, I missed that global concept, which I really wanted to tell today. Right. As I told you, 20 years have gone. So the next step, what we are going to do is we are trying to collect all the business councils around the world. I'll just explain a little bit. The business councils, I'm representing the Japan Sri Lanka Business Council. There is Dubai Sri Lanka, UK Sri Lanka, Australia Sri Lanka. There are 35 business councils registered with the embassies, and other than that there are about hundreds who are working with that country and Sri Lanka. So what we want to create is a federation of business councils in Tokyo. We are having our celebrations on October 9th, which when we met President in Japan, and he really wanted to know what we are going to do, and he was so happy. And he said if there's any chance, he's going to come for the celebrations, and we are going to start up this federation, the Business Council Federation, which we will bring everyone into one platform. So example, if we have the Australia Sri Lanka Business Council and we have Japan Sri Lanka Business Council. So if we have a product which we are selling very well in Japanese market, we can talk to the Australian Business Council and say, okay, we have a good product which we are importing from Sri Lanka. If you want, we can supply that. I'm sure that you could do a business. So this way we could increase import from Sri Lanka to other countries. It can be Dubai, it can be Africa. So up to now we didn't have any connections, right? So now we are trying to bring that up and connect these people. The other thing is, okay, we say we want to buy some cheese or butter from Australia, a Sri Lankan importer who wants to buy from Australia, right? So the things will be sold from Australia to Japan, and two Sri Lankans will benefit.
Right.
So that way we want to make the Sri Lankans stronger. Sri Lankan business people around the world, they will be stronger. So end of the day, if they become strong, these things will come back to our mother country. So this is the main idea of connecting all these business councils around the world. We have spoken to about 15 to 20. Everybody is happy to come. they were waiting for something like that. They said nobody is going to do this, that's why we couldn't do it. So we want to work with the Japanese Business Council, and we'll have the head office in Japan and Secretary General. So every year the one country will be the lead, they will take the leadership. So we are planning to visit that country and to work with them. So this is a global thing that we are trying to go for the next 20 years.
Right, okay. And as someone who is heading such organizations, and well, you're an entrepreneur in some ways as well, what would you say has enabled you to get to this position, and maybe you can share some of them with the audience as well?
Yeah, actually I believe my family, my parents who have brought me up has given me the ethics and things, how you should live as a human being. And I should mention my school, it's Nalanda College, Colombo. I did my up to my A-levels, I went to that school. We had a background of this kind of religious and Sri Lankan cultural things, which you have to be a good person in the society, and you have to be honest. So as you say, like in my homepage, in my RamaDBK homepage, I come up with my face and say, I'm a Sri Lankan, I'm doing business in Japan. So most of the people don't want to show that you're a Sri Lankan. They try to pretend that you're a Japanese, that you'll have more trust, you know. So it's difficult to get trust when you're a Sri Lankan. But if you have been doing a good business with these people, and if you're honest and you try to, when you're doing business, you have some problems, and every time you might have a problem, but you have to solve the problem with the people and talk to them, and to show that you're honest, and these mistakes can happen, but how are we going to recover? I think that's very important. Right now, because I don't do sales, I don't do things office, we have staff to do that, but mostly if sometimes I have to handle these kind of mistakes or some kind of a problem. So I talk to the people, I talk to the customer. He may be a huge organization or an individual who has bought a car from us. So talking to people and trying to explain and do the best for them, they believe you. You don't run away from problems. I think that's the main thing, and to be punctual and to keep your word. In Japan, it's very strict. Like if you say like you have to do something, you have to do it at the same time. 5 minutes before the time you have to arrive at the place to meet someone. So those things with the Sri Lankan culture, if you match them, I think the Sri Lankan people can do a great job.
Right, okay. And well, coming back to the vehicle industry as well, what do you see for the future of the industry in Sri Lanka?
Actually, you must have heard about Vega. Vega is an organization which I know them very well, and they are producing an electric car, AI operated car. So this kind of electric cars is not difficult like those days. It's not like a car with an engine, gearbox and things like that, which it's very difficult, so many parts. But when it comes to electrical and with technology, we can do it. Like I think Vega did this car with like everything from Sri Lanka, made in Sri Lanka. They just had the battery and the motor, other things was done in Sri Lanka. So we don't have to depend on other countries. If our young people, if we teach them well, we can get the technology from Japan, we can help to import them from there, but we can do it in our country. So we just don't have to go outside and do it, but we could work with other organizations and get this. So I heard like there's all the three-wheelers what we have in Sri Lanka are petrol and things like that. Now this Vega is trying to do the electric three-wheeler in Sri Lanka, which is going to be a high-level vehicle with air conditioning and all that. So we can improve this market. Now we don't have to look at us as, okay, we are a developing country, we'll have to buy everything from other countries. So we don't have to do that. I believe that our Sri Lankans have talent. They can do it. We have good engineers, we have everything. Only thing we need to get together. Somebody has to, bring them together. So that's my message for everyone. Don't think that we are behind. We can do it.
Right. And when we talk about the trends of vehicles internationally, and electric vehicles for that matter, do you think we'll be fully electric soon, or do you think there's a bridge happening? How do you say this? Yeah,
but internationally people are looking at that, because the oil price, pollution and things like that is happening all around the world, and it has gone so bad in some countries. So in Japan, they want to make all electric in few years. But I'm sure that we cannot do it right now. But We cannot bring electric cars from outside and try to be, we want to be green, we want to be this. So if we start our industry smaller, even smaller to get bigger, I think that will be the best. Now, when it comes to electric, you can't have a generator to to produce electricity and use that electricity for the car and say that's green energy. No, we cannot do that. It should be sustainable energy, which we could get out of, make it from maybe solar or wind or something like that. We could store that and use it for the cars. So anyway, it's going that way, like the biggest thing is the battery capacity. It's improving day by day. Like, first it was like 50 kilometers, you can go, it was 100, 200, 400, now it has come to about 400-500. So if we can, if we could find a capacity of more than that, that will be, and fast charging system also is very important. So now we have come up to that level. And this is not so difficult for our people to come up and do the, we need some investment, to get some money from somewhere, and some governments are ready to help. So if we can do that, we can compete with the highest organizations in the world. So that will take a little bit of time, but it is becoming easier for us to come up to this level.
Right. Now, we've reached the end of the discussion, but before we wind up, I'd like to ask you, what would be your advice for businessmen or entrepreneurs who are planning on entering the Japanese market? What advice would you give them?
Yeah, the first one, as I told you, you should have your patience. Right. You have to do your best. Like, you have to try. You have to use all the resources what you can. So that's one of the main things. But business is just not profit or anything when you look at with Japan. They want to have confidence. They want to know, are you really committed to do this, And when they buy for the first time, they they want to make sure that whether you won't run away with this, like if something goes wrong. I know it's try and error, and there will be errors, you have to fix it again, but you have to communicate with them. So that's very important, communication, and also to keep the quality. As I told you, you bring the product, what they buy, what they are doing right now in that country, not only Japan, if you take another country, even UK or USA, try to get a sample, keep it on your table, work with your people and see. We can't just say Sri Lanka has tradition, so we want to give our tradition to these people. That's the next step, So we have to come up and say, okay, come on, we have the same product, same thing, better than that, So there are small things. I think as you know, we have a lot of good ingredients which we could find in Sri Lanka. If you take cinnamon and all those are the best in the Sri Lankan market. We can find it in Sri Lanka. So even if they are so good, we have to present it to them in the way the other people are doing it,
Right. Okay. Well, thank you so much for the valuable advice and all the insight you gave us about the industry. That was Mr. Jagath Ramanayake, President of Sri Lanka Business Council in Japan, CEO of Rama DBK Limited Japan, and the advisor Sri Lanka Automobile Association of Japan. Thank you once again for being with us this evening.
Thank you. I would like to thank the iChannel Group for giving me this opportunity to talk to you all. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. And that winds up today's episode of Business Today. Do join us next time as well. Till then, have a good night.